over our very last comma practice exercise, which for us is going to be comma separating adjectives. Now, we have to start with what exactly is an adjective, and remember, these are our describing words. These are words that modify and give us more information, normally about nouns or pronouns. So, for instance, here, our adjectives describing apple are sweet and juicy. These make us more aware of what type of apple we're dealing with. Now, if we want to have really good descriptive writing, we want to try and put in as many adjectives in our writing as possible without it becoming kind of overburdened, so that we have as full of a picture of our writing as possible. Now, we have to punctuate these a little bit differently. When you have two adjectives or more next to each other, you want to separate them with a comma, because remember, adjectives modify the word next to them. So here, it is a sweet apple. But we don't want it to have the word juicy modifying sweet. We want that kind of comma to say, hey, wait, go over here and look at apple instead. That's the word I'm trying to modify. A really easy test for this is to put in the word and see if the sentence still makes sense. So Lou plucked a juicy and sweet apple from the tree. This sounds completely natural, so that's definitely where we would want a comma. You could also see if it makes sense by switching the order. We could have Lou plucked a sweet, juicy apple. This sounds just as good as a juicy, sweet apple. And you can again put the word and with the flipped order, and the sentence will still make sense. Now, on this sentence, we have 3, which is an adjective. Lou plucked 3 delicious apples. We wouldn't say 3 and delicious. That doesn't sound natural. And we couldn't say plucked delicious 3 apples. These don't sound natural, so those would not be places where we would want to put commas. We also want to make sure we're not using a comma between an adjective and the noun it describes. We don't have multiple things here. We don't want to separate those modifying words. So we would not do Lauren wore a warm, comma, sweater at all. Again, you could use your and test. We wouldn't say she wore a warm and sweater. This doesn't sound natural. We'll do a couple of them together now. Squidward, Tentacles, and I climbed the steep, rocky trail because we heard there would be free sodas at the summit. So the spot where we have multiple adjectives is right here, where we have steep and rocky, both modifying our noun trail. Now, we want to separate two adjectives with a comma if it sounds natural. So we could say, I climbed the rocky, steep trail. We could say, I climbed the steep and rocky trail. So that makes sense for us to put our comma there. We never want to have a comma before the word that's modified, so we do not put one after rocky. Cedric Diggory handed a carrot to the shy otter at the aquarium. Our adjective here is the word shy, but we only have one. We want to take that comma out because, again, we don't want to separate the modified word from its modifier. Aragorn drove into the sparkling, shimmering pool at the bottom of the waterfall. Here we have sparkling and shimmering are our adjectives. We could switch their order. We could say dove into the shimmering, sparkling. We could say sparkling and shimmering. So that is where our comma belongs. We'll do one more together. Lucius Malfoy grabbed the metal fishing pole from the mermaid's hand. So would we say grab the fishing metal pole? Or would we say metal and fishing? So this one we won't have any commas on. I hope this was really helpful for you. Make sure you really pay attention to those with numbers like the one on the screen here. We normally won't switch those. So 5 shiny pearls. We wouldn't say 5 and shiny or shiny 5 pearls. So those will be just fine the way they are. So I hope this was really helpful for you. As always, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out.